Since the show is so special effects heavy, I was wondering who was behind it. If you set out to do with the earlier discussion about times being like more practical effects or a mix of CG and that.
You know, just with the evolution of technology in the film and television business, we are moving from more practical effects to more visual effects. It's just the things you can do with visual effects are so incredible, and there used to be a really much clearer line of demarcation between what you could do for feature film and what you could do for television. Well, you have this sort of intersection of streaming and film already, so we were given the time and resources from Netflix to make really something that's more than a traditional television show. Plus you have the evolution of especially visual effects technology is just, you know, kind of continuing to evolve at a very high rate. So most of the things are really visual effects, but there definitely are things like we were talking earlier about Kinsey and the Fear Monster, where you want to do them practically, but I think that that's just an overall industry evolution, and I think most of the things that we planned for, we storyboarded, we discussed them, but we had imagined that we would execute them with visual effects.
I always wanted to see the shadows leap off the walls.
Yeah.
I mean, that just looks so great.
And you know what? I don't think that would have been possible back in 2010.
Yeah.
No, it just there's no way that you could have afforded to do it, nor was the technology evolved enough to do that on a television schedule and budget. So in a way, this kind of happened at the perfect moment in time. You know, the existence of Netflix, the resources that we were given, and the evolution of technology all kind of converged to make Locke and Key possible.
This is a question for you guys, because I actually already asked Carlton and Meredith about this a while ago, but without spoiling anything, I wanted to ask what you guys thought about I'll say the Zack storyline from the comics and the way that plays out very differently in the show. And then just as an aside, maybe you could give us a little bit more info about the one shot that you just mentioned.
I mean, this was something we all talked about in the writer's room, you know, and way back, you know, the feeling is there's this great reveal in the comic about, you know, one character being Dodge, and we thought, well, how do we keep the people who've read the comic off balance? And so the show goes in a different direction, which I'm just not going to say anything about because it's a definite, you know, it's a totally radioactive spoiler. Yeah. But, you know, it's important that even if you read and love the comic, you want people who read and love the comic to enjoy the show on its own terms and to feel like the comic was honored and that there were good elements, all the good stuff from the comic is there. But you don't want them to have the complacency of feeling like they know what's going to happen, because that's just not fun.
Yeah, and you get back to this point in which it's a very smart way in which they solve something in the spirit of the comic and giving their own spin for this show to have it in its own way. And I think that's why it worked. I watched it with my son who read the comic like 5 or 6 years ago, and when you got to that part, it really surprised him in a way it's supposed to work. So for me, that was another time which I say, okay, this is working in the way it's supposed to, because basically we got back again to this. This is an adaptation and not a transcription, and that's why it succeeded, because it's solved with creative tools. And again, if you think about something as the special effects, this is not a show that relies like too heavily on special effects. It's more about storytelling, and you get throughout the story in which special effects come out and go, and you don't feel that it damaged the story, because the tension and the drama is driven by other tools, basically the way in which the characters are developing their own stories.
The real special effect is acting, and that's what Gabe and I brought. When we appear on our clip as the paramedics.
You're going to figure out why this entire season is just an excuse to have our own spin-off series.
Oh my God!
Basically,
we spent a lot of time talking about it. Don't spoil it too much, Gabriel.
No. I'm going to leave it at that point.
As far as the one shot goes, this is a thing that we've been talking about for a little while now. It involves the characters from Open the Moon and Small World, it's taken us some time to organize it. This next standalone is the gateway to a larger story that we've been dreaming about for years, and you know, it's been a hell of a thing to try to pull together. But you know, well, I can't say that's also a spoiler. You know, we'll be talking about that in the next month. But
It's going to be unlocked soon.
that's right.
Nice.
Mm.
Thank you.